Hello, hello, hello. Checking, making sure that it's working. Hello, everybody. Please shout in chat to make sure that you can see and hear me. I am a little quiet. Okay. Let me see where the issue might be. I think I had the same issue last time, and I had to adjust the volume from here. Not sure actually what I did last time. The volume mixer. Hello, hello. I don't remember where it was that I could adjust the volume for the microphone. Because from the OBS side, it's at full full volume. So just trying to see. Where did I do that? Sound settings. Device. Oh, there you go. Okay. Okay, this is probably better. Maybe a little loud. Just let me know. All right. Okay, cool. Well, hello, welcome. Okay, let me increase that further, maybe. All right, let's start by saying, hi, I'm Younes. I will be doing the developer update for March for the Forge, and we'll be talking about quite a few things. But I'll start by doing a mention to today as the International Women's Day. So just want to highlight that. And if you are not aware of it, I recommend that you maybe check on Wikipedia and see what it's about. And obviously, we've made great strides over the years for women's rights in general, but there is still always quite a few things that need to be improved. And so it's not just about saying something to the women around you in your life, as a happy International Women's Day, but it's also to think about all the various social issues that still exists today. So I think it's important to mention that. So that's going to be my little introduction about that before we get into the rest of today's program, basically. All right. And with regards to the rest of our program, the other thing I want to be talking about is the fact that we have two new people joining our staff at the Forge. The first one is Zlatan, who you may have some knowledge about, as he's been with us for about a month now, a little over a month. I might have even mentioned him in the last stream, though we didn't add him to the About page until a bit later. He started as our community manager about 2 years and a half ago. So quite a while ago, for just a little bit of time, and then he left, and now he came back, did a little bit of community management before shifting to a project management role. So welcome Zlatan to the team again. And a second staff member who joined us, who is Yana, joining us as the new social media manager and the community manager. So that's great as well. You might have noticed her um, in our Discord, for example. She's the one who posted the announcements about the stream, for example. So if you've noticed a new name there, that's our new community manager. So I'm looking forward to seeing um, what she's going to be bringing to the Forge, and you can probably expect more involvement from us online. More blog posts, more tweets, more cool news about the Forge being shared on our social media and community events. So yeah, that's definitely something to be excited about. If you're following us on Twitter, you might have seen a bit more activity on our Twitter in recent weeks. So yeah, you have Yana to thank for that. All right. And with that, I will be launching into um, something that's been kind of the big thing with the last month, February. Whoops. And I am talking about the various server issues that we've had to deal with. So it's been a very, very tough month. And I'm just going to post this here. This is our blog, so you can go to blog.forgevtt.com. You can also access it from the resources here. It's our adventure log. And you'll see that I've posted a postmortem about the various server issues that we've had. So if you have not seen that post yet, I recommend you go and read it. We had also a notification at the top of the site so that people don't miss it. But yeah, I go into quite a bit of details on exactly what happened, why, what we did to prevent it. Also, like all the work that I've done to avoid that even happening in the first place, which unfortunately was kind of not helpful because in the end, DigitalOcean, that is our or was our service provider, just acted in a way that was completely unacceptable for a professional service and caused us to basically have multiple service disruptions, multiple days, one after the other, for over a week. And that was following already a few weeks that were quite hectic. So in general, February has just been a horrible month for us in terms of performance, stability, and providing good service to the users. So in short, basically they erroneously, right, by mistake, something is wrong with their system, and they thought that for some reason our VPN server was being under attack, which was not the case. And their solution is to just basically just unplug it from the internet, which is absurd to say the least, and has caused all of the issues that we've had to deal with, unfortunately. And so you can read all of those details here if you're interested. There is a section about a credit that you can claim. We've been very generous in providing a credit that is over the monthly cost of the subscription. So if you were affected by the service disruptions that we've had in February, then I would recommend that you check out our postmortem on the issues and contact us to claim a credit for your account. Um, so that's kind of like the big sad news about February, and the good news with that is that this has made us and kind of forced our hand to move faster on our server migration, which was already underway for a bit over a month, I believe. Since January, basically, we were actively working on our service migration away from DigitalOcean because of the various issues that we've had with it for a while now, and we've been working for in terms of design and testing and things like that for well over a year on um, moving away from DigitalOcean, and it was certainly not a simple task to do that, and yeah, we were actively basically ready to move, and then this happened, and then we accelerated things a little further, and now we're on the new OVH dedicated servers that we bought, and that has been really great. So for about 2 weeks now, a little over 2 weeks, very stable service. I've had received feedback from people saying that it's faster, it's just performing much better, much more stable. Even small issues that the users might have had, they're not noticing them anymore and things like that. So I'm very, very happy with that. And obviously, our developer update is about what have we done during the last month. Well, this is a big part of the things that we've done. So you might not necessarily see a big update coming to the website itself, but there was a lot of work happening in the back end in terms of server configuration and migration and things like that. So yeah, there's that. Um, and yeah, we do also have a few changes to the website that I will be talking about in a second. But I'm seeing some questions in chat that I'd like to check first. All right, so um, mentioned this in Discord, but it is so lovely and refreshing to see companies be so transparent and open about background processes and challenges. Thanks for working so hard to provide and maintain a great service for us. Thank you, Kate Twilight, for that message. Yeah, it's something that I've tried a lot to be transparent about with the users. We don't do postmortems that often. Um, Generally, it's, hey, this external service provider is having an issue and there's not much that we can do about it. Sometimes it's something that we're the cause, and I'll mostly just write the postmortem as a simple paragraph in our Discord announcements and things like that. But this was, um, a pretty big deal, I think. So it definitely deserved the attention I gave it in writing, a detailed postmortem like that. I think it's good for people to know what's happening. Yeah. Um, are we going to be getting servers based out of the west side of North America? Question by Last Red RPGs. So I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see a point in doing that. Every region adds an extreme level of complexity from our side, both in the setup, in the maintenance, in making sure that it works with all other servers. We have a mesh of VPNs in between all the regions that need to be maintained. And if we do an update, we have to do the update on each region. We need a database replica in each of the region to lower the latency to the database queries and things like that. So it's rather not just a matter of creating a a server in a new region. The storage system also needs to go to be a new Ceph storage system needs to be deployed in a new region, and you can see the complexity keeps expanding. And in terms of cost, the cost isn't just about the new servers, it's um, rather significant to have a new region because there's a whole set of infrastructure that needs to be deployed, right? So it's just not something that is worth it for something like Foundry. Um, I've seen that question a few times. I've seen it also asked by people in Brazil who are a little further away. And generally speaking, people are used to seeing, 5 or 10 millisecond latency in first person shooters. And if they see a latency that's higher than that, they think that it's going to be a bad user experience, but that's not the case. I have played in games with a latency of up to 200 milliseconds, like from me here in North America, East Coast, to a server running in Asia, and you're not going to be noticing it. Because everything with Foundry mostly happens in your browser. The latency is going to be affecting you when you move your token, when you create a new actor, when you update your HP on your character sheet. Um, that's mostly it. Oh yeah, and when you send a chat message, so that's kind of like the big things that the latency is going to affect. Um, but opening a character sheet, opening a journal entry, uh, doing most of the actual things that you do, selecting a token, etc., that doesn't modify the database, that doesn't, create or update documents in the world, that's not going to be affecting anything because it's not even communicating with the server at that point. So West Coast to East Coast, North America, that's probably about 80 milliseconds. So if you drag a token and it takes 80 milliseconds before the change happens, you're never going to notice it. It's just not possible for you to notice it. Up to 150 milliseconds, maybe 200 milliseconds, you might notice it, but it's not going to be impacting your actual game. Um, you know, it's really not a big deal. So I would say not to focus too much on that latency, or trying to be as close to the server like that. We have the 4 regions right now between North America, Europe, Asia, and Oceania, and I think those are going to cover like 99% of the users in terms of providing a good user experience and responsive gameplay. Yeah. All right. And that was the question that I did want to answer. Um, Now let's talk about some of the content that you'll be seeing um, in the blog, right? So I was talking about the blog earlier. We have a post. Let me just hide this for now. We have a post that's going to be released soon. So I'll just be talking about that real quick. Right. Stars of the VTT Galaxy. I am announcing that we will be doing a new series of posts. And the Mad Cartographer, as you can see here, was our first interviewee, our first creator that we have had the opportunity to chat with for our new series of posts. And I mentioned earlier how we have uh, Zlatan and Jana joining the team. Jana has been our community manager, and one of the things that you'll be seeing more of is these kinds of community events and interactions, such as this new series of posts. Stars of the VTT Galaxy is all about putting the focus on the stars that make up our VTT worlds, and that's the content creators. So it's a really nice, really cool interview with the math cartographer. It is not currently released. It will be released probably tomorrow or Friday. So keep an eye out for that. And you'll probably see it posted on Reddit, Twitter, in our Discord. But yeah, this is one of the things that I wanted to mention as upcoming content that you'll be seeing more of with the Forge. And we have other things planned as well. Um, and you'll see a little bit more of that hopefully very, very soon. Um, right now, we've done the interview with Matt Cartographer. We'll be reaching out to other creators to have more of these as a series of interviews, which I think will be very interesting to have. And yeah, that's the first announcement. The second announcement, again with regards to content creators, is an upcoming feature that we are not quite yet ready to show, but it's going to be released within the next few days or the next week, which is our Patreon integration. So if you have your Forge account linked with your Patreon, and some of the creators already are providing content through Patreon, you'll be able to potentially get access to that content from the Bazaar without purchasing that content. So it's a upcoming feature that provides convenience to you as a user, and it will be a feature available to users on the storyteller tier, and will allow you to basically just look at Patreon content and link your account and just install content that you would have access to without purchasing it a second time through the marketplace, or using the import wizard or the manifest URL and things like that, just making it more snappy and easier to have that integration as part of our service. And also, giving you the information about what is like what tier gives you access to what package and things like that. So that's coming soon. I assume we'll be releasing that in the coming week, and then we'll have the onboarding with the content creators so that they can start preparing their content for the Patreon integration, so you can have access to it. So yeah, that's one of the things. And then let me show you here. One of the other great features that we're adding is, let me just show you. If you go, maybe not this one, maybe this one, right? So you can see here a package from Mad Wizard, and you can now see this little prompt here to see more from this creator, which gives you access to a profile page for the creator. I can show you also here the Math Cartographer, that you get access to their content, as well as our own page, right? So this is going to be really cool, as you'll be able to get a bit more information about the creators. you'll if you like something, you enjoy content by Michael Gelfi. He hasn't yet created his profile page, but the Mad Cartographer, obviously, uh, Tom Carlos. There's so many creators that you know are very popular, and you might just enjoy their content, and then you can just see what else have they made, what else is available, and get more information as well on them, being able to see their website, their social media, Patreon, and things like that. And an upcoming feature to this is also the ability to eventually follow the creators, so you can get notifications when a new package is released by a creator that you like. Um, so that's going to be something that's quite useful to, I believe, most users. So yeah, that's a new feature that we released in the last month. Um, and we're continuing to, work and improve on various aspects of the bazaar. And I can't wait to show you all the upcoming features that are coming for the users. Just making, things better in terms of discoverability of content, whether it's, from the marketplace or from free packages that are, software modules and things like that. Just being able to have a better search, a better filter, a better view of each package and things like that. It's coming soon, and I hope you'll be as excited about it as I am. But yeah, keep an eye out for the Bazaar as it's getting a facelift, progressively getting a facelift in the coming months. Um, all right, and with regards to the Bazaar, I think something that's um, a bit of a difficult subject, I think, because it's very polarizing, um, is a subject that I do want to bring up during this dev stream, is when it comes to all of the AI generated content, right? So I know that many people have different opinions on um, the ethical aspects and the legal aspects of using AI generators such as Stable Diffusion, DALL-E, Midjourney, as the popular latent diffusion AI generators. Um, and so the announcement here is that we have made a decision to ban the use of AI generated content from the bazaar. Um, what this means is that if you are a marketplace creator and want to sell your content on the marketplace, um, then your content needs to have been created by you, a human, and not by an AI. And I know that this is very polarizing. I know that there's an ongoing, very heated debate around AI generators. Um, and it's very difficult. It's a very difficult subject to approach. It's something that we've been thinking about and looking at all the various, you know, um, various opinions, the various facts, the various, um, what's the word here? Reper Not repercussion, but like anything that affects that subject. Um, and also very carefully listening to our community of creators and what their thoughts are with regards to AI generators. We will be publishing in the coming weeks a more detailed blog post that basically announces it officially, although we've already announced it to the creators in an official capacity. But I do want to bring that in writing through a blog post that doesn't just give out a decision, but also how we've come to that decision, um, and also what I think, and what most in our Forge staff think about AI generators. So I am not shy in saying that I am 100% for AI generators. I think that it's a great technology, and I do not see or agree with the ethical aspects that people are raising, saying that it's theft of art and things like that. But this is my opinion, right? This is, and this is why it's such a heated debate, is that we have many different opinions, and everyone thinks that their opinion is true and valid. Um, but I think that we'll see in the coming years, probably, how the general public, but also most importantly, how the laws from the legal perspective are going to be considering those aspects of this technology as it evolves as well, because we are still, I believe, in its infancy. Um, I think that there's a lot of misinformation on how the technology works. I think there's also a lot of emotions related to um, AI generators, because obviously it touches on creators' livelihoods, and um, it does things that, as far as they are concerned, are unethical. And ethics in general is not a hard line in the sand. It's not something um, set in stone. It's very fluid, and it depends a lot on. Um, I wouldn't even know where to begin with regards to how to define ethics. But yeah, it's definitely something that's very polarizing in the community. We've seen a lot of Reddit subreddits banning the use of AI as well when posting about art. We've seen a lot of other companies also taking a similar stance. From our side, I just want to say that we do not hate AI, but we have to be careful with the use of AI in terms of a sold content on a marketplace. There's definitely something that we agree, we can agree with, uh, is that the copyright aspects of AI generated content is not yet defined. The content may not be copyrightable at all, and so can you even sell content that you do not own the copyright for? That's going to be a question that the courts will decide. Um, but overall, I think the most important aspect of the whole debate is that we provide through the Bazaar and through the marketplace a service for content creators, for artists, for people in this community to make a living, but also to provide uh, their passion to their user base, to um, enhance the games of everybody. And the most important part, in my opinion, is to cater um, to what that community thinks. There's still some division within the creator community itself as to whether or not the AI art is good or bad. Um, uh, but I feel like there's a relatively overwhelming portion of the artists, of the creators that are against the AI art, and therefore, we don't want to be disrespectful of uh, their opinions and their feelings. Um, and so we're taking this stand that that's more respectful uh, uh, for the artists, basically. So yeah, uh, I am expecting this subject to raise a lot of questions. Um, so um, I don't know if you want to start asking questions and I can answer them now, or if we should just leave that for the Q&A session at the end of the stream. Um, so yeah, um, uh, just going to see here a couple of one more like comments. So okay, I'm not seeing questions in chat, so I'll just be moving on, and then we can have more of this discussion during the Q&A session at the end, where you'll be able to ask more detailed questions or give your opinions as well about AI art generators and our decision to ban them from the bazaar. All right. Um, what else? All right. So we've had. Let's talk about two things, and then we'll do our bazaar showcase. Um, the first one is with regards to various changes that we've had on the website. One of the bigger ones, I think, is the changes here for the account page. Um, so you can see that there's more content here. There's more options. The buttons here have moved. There's the server region is in its own section now. So because we had a bit of confusion before where people were selecting their region but weren't applying the change. So that's that finally changed. It's on its own section. There's a few changes here that happened, like the linked accounts as well, moving to its own tab. Um, so this is one of the big changes that you'll be able to notice with regards to actual website updates during the month of February. There's a lot of other much smaller and perhaps less visible changes. You can obviously always see our changelog. If you don't know about it, then yeah, you can go to the announcements. What was I think maybe, yeah, here, announcements, server update changelog, and then you can see the various changes that happened in last month. And yeah, mostly, a lot of small changes to the interface, bug fixes, and things like that. But the biggest ones are the update to the tabs here for the account page, as well as the creator profile page, like these, basically. Um, there's also a rather big update that happened behind the scenes on the creator dashboard that I'm not going to show because that would potentially display things that are private, such as financials and things like that. So I'm not going to show it, but suffice to say that we've received some positive feedback from the update from the content creators that have seen the interface improve, showed them a better overview of their packages, and revenue per package and statistics and things like that. And we are continuing to improve that as well. And the last bit of news is that we have found a way to improve further the connection to the server for people with a low-speed internet. This is a cool bit of optimization that I looked into. I was, like we say, nerd sniped by Luke Abbey from the League's Discord, who raised the question, and I looked into it and spent a bit of time just trying to figure out the details of it. And I'm just going to leave that here, where I basically wrote a detailed report for the Foundry team with regards to my findings. But I think the important part is that uh, something like this. If you're on a slow connection, a relatively large world, it's not big, but 37 megs, instead of loading in 5 minutes 25, the loading speed goes down to 2 minutes because in terms of bandwidth, like a 20 megabyte world gets compressed to 2.5 meg. So that's a significant improvement in terms of speed or in terms of size, obviously. So if you're already on a very fast internet, you're not going to notice it, or you'll notice a little bit of degradation in the sense of instead of 4 seconds to load your world, it's going to take 4.5 seconds. It's not going to be noticeable if you have a fast internet connection. But if you have a slow internet, if you're on rural internet and things like that, you will definitely notice it because it can double, uh, like it cut in half the speed of loading the world. So this basically is an option to enable compression on the WebSocket itself, which means the downloading of your entire world and things like that. And I evaluated that and went into quite a bit of details with regards to memory consumption, bandwidth usage, loading speeds for a fast and a slow connection, small world, large world, etc. So you can go look at that. We'll probably leave. Well, I mean, I guess I can just post that in chat. The link if you want to go check the details of that to you know some of you are technical people who are interested in those kinds of details. If you're not, then you can definitely ignore it. But this is one of the advantages that we have with the Forge is that we'll be able to test this live on Worlds for whatever version of Foundry you're on. This option has just been enabled in the Foundry V11 prototype 2 release that was uh, out a few days ago. So users of Foundry V11, once it releases, should be able to get the same advantages. But with the Forge, we're able to do that change on our side to basically improve the performance of people on V10, V9, 0.8, or any other version of Foundry. So very exciting to be able to do that. We've been testing this very thoroughly. We did find a little bit of a bug, which we've recently fixed. We've been also testing with regards to how much of a degradation of performance you get by doing the compression. So you can see here, it was 4 seconds, dropped to 5.7 seconds by enabling the option. I was able to optimize that further, so now it's more like 4.5. So just a very, very small decrease in speed there. And yeah, I believe it's ready. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet because of the various server issues. I didn't want to introduce a new element, an unknown element to this. While we were dealing with the server migration. But I will be doing that very, very soon, probably this week. Although I think this week I'm going to take off for the rest of the week because I've been a little bit sick and a little bit, over exhausted. And I do need to rest so we don't burn out. But yeah, I'll be testing it. In a sort of canary scenario. So some people will get the option enabled and others won't. And we'll see if it affects anything. And if we don't see any negative impact, then we'll be able to just enable it for everybody and see how that performs. I'm seeing a question in chat. Will it be enabled automatically? Yes, it would basically just be enabled for everybody automatically. So you wouldn't have anything to do. There wouldn't be an option to enable anywhere to just, you wouldn't notice it, but suddenly, hey, your world is loading much faster. Obviously, not seen a huge improvement if you have a very small world, like, less than 5 megabytes. The the improvement is probably going to be very small, right? Still going to affect you. So like in my example here, a 3.5 meg world went from 31 seconds to 13 seconds to load. FYI, the way I'm testing slow connection is by using the dev tool in Chrome to simulate a 3G connection. So that's how the test was done. I believe it's explained here with in my report. So yeah, but we do see people with larger worlds, 50 meg, 60 meg, which I think is kind of the limit of what is acceptable. But we also have 200 megabyte worlds, which they're definitely probably going to be getting some issues other than just the loading speed. But if you can imagine 200 meg having to download all of that when you connect, obviously that's gonna take 1 minute or more, even if you're on a relatively fast connection. So by just making that drop to, I don't know, I mean, I have 20 meg here drop to 2.5, another 16.8 meg here dropping 2.4. You know, it's likely to improve that download significantly. The bigger the world and the slower the connection, the more of an impact it will have. So yeah. All right. Oh, I'm seeing a question from Harrison. Any plans for the ability to hide archive inactive packages as a creator? As a creator, I had to remove a lot of our packages for exclusivity reasons. I now have to trawl through an overwhelming majority of awaiting publishing packages when I'm trying to work. It would be great to hide these away somewhere. No plans on that. I think the issue is if you have packages like that that have never been published and have no sales, then we can just remove them. You can send an email to contact and we can remove them entirely. But in the case where a package has already been sold, once you have a sale somewhere, then we just can't remove it because the user who bought it needs to always be able to access it, even if you have unpublished it. So that's still on you. And if we were to somehow remove it from your dashboard, then with the way that we calculate revenue and things like that, you wouldn't be able to um, to to see purchases from it. So I think it's a little too complicated, and it's kind of a special use case in your situation. You can always sort by status. So hopefully that helps, and you have the filter now, which should also make things a little bit easier. I don't know if it's a big enough issue that it warrants, potentially weeks of development time to improve that aspect of, archived content. All right. Sometimes when a module update breaks something, it would be nice to have a history of which modules I updated last. Any thoughts on implementing something like this in the future? You see me smiling because I didn't actually want to mention it, but we are working. It's one of the things that we're working on, where we're adding a sort of events list so you can see when exactly was something updated or installed or uninstalled, when did the world launch, when was it idle, when was it stopped, and things like that. So we are working on something like that. It's not quite ready yet, but yeah. It wasn't ready to even mention yet, but since you asked the question and I could see my face having that huge smile that was so not subtle, I guess I just had to answer. But yes, it's something that we're working towards. All right. What else? I think that was it for what we wanted to talk about today. I mean, there's something else, but I can't talk about it yet because it is not my announcement to make. But there's something that we'll be announcing probably in the next few days. But keep an eye out for our social media. and uh, we'll probably be blogging about it as well. So yeah, there's more stuff coming. It's just not ready for us to announce it right now. And that's about it. All right, so now we'll be going to the Bazaar showcase with Destiny Gray showing us some cool content. And as usual, we have the $20 gift card that will be given away. So for you to enter the giveaway, you need to type, um, let me see, Destiny chose that, but it's hashtag Quebec apparently. We will, yeah, there you go. It's posted in chat now, just so you know how to spell Quebec or Quebec. I'm not exactly sure how it's supposed to be pronounced because I hear people pronouncing it different ways even here. Um, it is a nod to the Forge being a Quebec-based company. So there you go. All right, let me see if Destiny is ready. I believe.
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, you can hear him. All right, I'm switching to the Discord um, stream so we can see your screen now.
Howdy, howdy, folks. My name is Destiny Cray. I also go by the name Methuselah Honeysuckle. And today we're going to be showing off quite a few cool packages from the Bazaar. Starting off with the Cascade Pools map package by Mick Woowa Maps. The moment you hop into this, like, it's just a gorgeous, beautiful looking map. There's these nice lily pads flowing down into further pools of water, just further cascading down. Uh, all into this great little bottom pond here. I would definitely use this map in my campaigns, just to show like some natural beauty. Sometimes I like to throw in maps into my campaigns too to throw my players off, because whenever there's a map, they always expect a fight. But sometimes you just don't throw in a fight just to surprise them, just to keep them on their toes. And this is kind of the perfect map to do it. Just give them something to marvel at while they RP and camp overnight. It is so pretty. And like every Mick Woowa map, there are several versions of it. So we can just scroll down here to Cascade Pools. And like for instance, there's an Amber Sunset version which I've already imported that you can see here. And oh my gosh, the lighting on this is excellent. This is perfect if you're having like a sun going down thing. Like you can even turn down the darkness level so that tokens you put in here will be correctly filtered and look like they're being uh, affected by the sun going down as well. It's such. I use a picture of Destiny for my map if I want natural beauty. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Oh, the mad cartographer is mad. It's confirmed.
Bro. Yeah, you throw me in your maps if you want to have an orangutan in your adventure maps. Just saying.
Oh,
I look like the meme of the orangutan that's just like really big and just sitting there confused. Anyway,
just FYI for those who will be watching this on the YouTube VOD, when Destiny said that he throws a picture of himself on a map if he wants natural beauty, he was reading a comment from the Mad Cartographer on our Twitch chat, just
yeah.
to give a little bit of context to that comment. Um, but yeah, just my comment so far on this map is that it is definitely gorgeous. It's also, between the previous one and this one, you have such a huge difference in atmosphere, in my opinion, and it goes from natural beauty to kind of creepy and very different. I love that, and I know that you want to throw off your players with this, but what I'm seeing is a really great puzzle map potentially, where each pool would have, things in it, and they have to search. I don't know. I'm having some ideas on how to use this for puzzles. So that sounds cool.
Yeah, and then you can get creative even more. This is a well-known trick popularized by Foundry Gaming in their experimentation, where you use ghostly lights to make the water animated, and suddenly the pool water looks lively. Just little tweaks like that, and you can see here that dropping a token in, it looks a little darker. They're affected by the light, and it just looks really nice in general. I'm very fond of this map overall. So if you want to get this, it's only $5.99 on the Bazaar. I'll be pasting the link into chat right now.
Great. Let me do that.
All right,
Okay,
sounds good.
go ahead.
Yeah. So the next package we'll be showing off is the Durgar at Large Volume 2 package by Dumb Human Drawn. We've shown him off before, and I believe we've even shown off the first volume. This is the second volume, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag the art in here. We have quite a few Durgar color options here that you can see that I've assigned. We're in Pathfinder 2e, so I assigned it to a minor character. And so this would be good if you're running any sort of campaign using Durgar, or honestly dwarves in general. I'm sure you could get a very creative Pathfinder 2e campaign set up using Durgar art. I like to pronounce it Durgar because it sounds more alien, which is what Underdark languages would seem like to me, you know? Because the Underdark is an alien world, and I like to stress that when my players go in. So I've assigned it also to be a wildcard token. So for those who aren't aware, this has been a long-standing feature in Foundry VTT, where you can replace a letter or letters in a name, and it'll draw with a star and then enable wildcard features, and then it randomizes the token image you draw each time, picking from a token name file that fits. So basically, long story short, you can do stuff like this with his asset package, where you can just drag in and you have a semi-random collection of token images that it's going to draw from. Really helpful and really nice. I like Dumb Human Drawn's art overall. It's some good overhead images, and you can see here that he's got a little bit of something for every Dogar use case. He's got some Arctic art if you want to draw Arctic. He has some Metal Man Durgar art if you want to role play as like a Durgar cop turned robot in the streets of Detroit. Uh, Shout out to everyone who gets that reference. And there's just more and more here. Uh, if you ever need Dogar, I highly recommend both Volume 1 and 2. Uh, the
Awesome.
package is an asset package, and it's only $4.99 on the Bazaar Marketplace. For all of these images, too. Like, look at all of these. Here, let me. Here, we can even, like. Here, like. Wow, look at. Oh, give me a second, because I only changed the. Like, here. Look at that. What do you think, Kakaroto?
Looks good. It's and there's just so many different choices and variations. I like that quite a bit.
Yeah. I, for one, am a huge fan. So that's it for the Dumb Human Drawn package, and we have one more paid package I wanted to show off. And that's. Well, before I start, I have to ask, Kakaroto, do you like the end of the world?
Well, it depends. Is
Do
it
you want do you want to run
sci-fi?
your do you want to run your Tesla on gasoline and shout "Witness me" at max volume?
I'm not
Witness!
sure. You said, do I want to run? And I'm already like, no, I'm too tired for that.
Well, do I have some content for you?
Oh gosh.
These are images from Peepoo's post-apocalypse vehicles number 1.
Wow.
Look at this beautiful big overhead art. This is perfect if you're running a post-apocalypse campaign, like say maybe you're running in Twilight 2000, which I can heavily recommend as a system, by the way. If you've ever wanted a shooty system based in an apocalyptic setting, it's kind of great. And this asset package would be perfect for that kind of setting. You got the nice little side ruins of these vehicles that are just lying on the ground, perfect for a destroyed landscape. And you can also get like standing up straight versions if you want versions for your players to explore or to even ride in. You can see this one has some nice skulls at the front with machine guns. You got the motorcycle that everyone rides around in the apocalypse still, and you even got the camper RV van if you want.
Nice.
It's
I'm
just
I'm getting some Mad Max vibes from this.
exactly thunderstick poof. And you can see here that he has a bit of everything. For he even has a moped if you want to ride a moped in the apocalypse. More power to you. And it even comes with nice little like different versions of art. So like here, oh, so like we can drag it out and a little more put together, only slightly dinged up. We can put it down with barbed wire, and we can even put it down with like okay, a very graffitied. We can turn it around. Boom, boom. Look at that. Go
Go
back.
back.
I'm a huge fan
Nice.
of content like this. I do want to run a Twilight 2000 campaign in the future, so I'll probably pick this up when it's that time. And so I I hope you guys enjoy it as well. It's only $4.99 on the Bazaar. Again, these are some very cheap packages for what you get. Just the amount of varieties and variants you get.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like how many different options you have with the types of vehicles, and then each type has variations among them again. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. So the final thing I wanted to show off today is a free one because as much as we like selling stuff on our marketplace, we always like to show off all the creative tools that people produce for making your games better. And today, we're going to be showing off the Boss Bar by the Ripper. He's a pretty prolific creator. You might know him for his content, such as the Better Roofs module, alongside about a million other modules. Yep, yep, I'm seeing
Yeah.
some cheers in chat.
I,
So let
I
me.
I think there's like if there's a module developer who has released the most number of modules, it's probably the Ripper. Very popular with the 3D canvas work that he's done.
Yeah, he made the 3D canvas module, for instance. And today we're going to show off one of his free modules, the Boss Bar module. It's very simple. You select a token, you click the Boss Bar button, and suddenly your players have a very frightening Dark Souls esque boss bar at the very top, ready to terrify and destroy your party. I love this kind of thing. You can set it up in the options, so like you can go here. You can have it center on the token when you create the health bar. You can change the values you use. You can select the temporary health bar position, and you can select the top or bottom, etc. It's just so nice. It's so simple, and it's perfect for livening up your games. If you're ever running a boss in Foundry VTT, it's so easy to use, and I cannot recommend it enough. When oh gosh, when I have my Foundry stretched across 3 screens, and that is frightening. Holy crud! I
Yeah.
would I would pee my pants.
Uh,
I've got a quick anecdote to share about using this module before I end this
okay, I
showcase.
thought it was about peeing your pants, but go ahead.
Yeah, so when I was starting a new campaign, I had led my party along an adventure where they were investigating who the heck was stealing all of these potions from a potion shop using some fake creatures. They tracked down the hut where these potions were being taken to, and they came across a man who started saying, "I see, so you found me. It seems I have no other choice." And I started playing super ominous music, like it was leading up to a boss fight. And I pinged the boss bar, and he's like, "Holy crap, we're level 1." The whole party starts getting ready for a level 1 boss fight. And this is in 5e, so it's not like PF2e where things are a little easier. It's 5e. You insta die in a crit, right? And then suddenly, "I surrender." And the boss bar goes dark. A whole a whole 2 or 3 minute setup to a bait. And they just okay. And they put the handcuffs around him. And that was the best bait perhaps ever, apart from the time I ambushed my party on the third session ever with coin mimics. Anyway,
Oh man,
again, this is Boss Bar by the Ripper. I believe it's already been linked in chat. Yep.
I did, yeah.
And that's it for my Bazaar showcase. I hope I've given you some ideas about what packages you might want from today's showcase, or about how you can bait your players. That's it from me. Thanks for letting me show off all the content I love, Kakaroto.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you for showing all of that awesome content. All right, let me switch to. I guess I can go straight to the Q&A screen. The camera on. There you go. Wow, that was interesting. That was awesome, and I can already imagine putting a some of those Mad Max vehicles into that cascading waterfall map and trying to kind of blend them together to have this sort of beautiful scenery mixed with potentially, old post-apocalyptic content. And yeah, that sounds like a cool thing to mix. I always like seeing, content from different creators like that and trying to see how you can merge them together to make a new kind of story that you wouldn't have potentially uh, thought of. Oh, Destiny just said something. Uh, is this correct? Let me just double check to make sure that I'm not making a mistake here. Um, but yes, awesome. It has been announced. All right, in that case, uh, the thing that I mentioned earlier that I can't mention has just been announced. Therefore, we will be talking about it quickly. All right. I'm gonna switch my screen again. FoundryCon! Woo! FoundryCon has just been announced. This is a project, an endeavor, an event created by the Foundry team with the Foundry VTT subreddit moderators in partnership with the Foundry team. And I'll let you all go and check it out. But it is a Foundry con with uh, games being played. And let me show you the website. It's going to be running May 19th, 20th, and 21st. I love the prototype one of FoundryCon. That's so funny. Um, and so yeah, I'll let you go and check it out. And oh, would you look at that? The Forge is going to be sponsoring that. So this was the last announcements that I couldn't make that we were hoping would be announced before our dev stream, but it happened before the end of the stream, which is awesome. So you can check it out. I'm not going to get into too much details here. Just check out foundrycon.com. I will be talking about specifically what we'll be doing is that any participating GMs will receive some kind of reward. And um, one issue as we were looking at that yesterday was how exactly, like, what kind of reward should we give the GMs? And I have choice paralysis. I just couldn't decide. Should we give a discount? Should we give gift cards? Should we give free subscriptions? What should it be? What's the amount? And like how many months of free subscription? And I just didn't know. And I was tired to try and find a solution. And um, then it just came to me. It's gonna be a roll, actually rolling you as a GM. You will be rolling a dice and determining what your reward is going to be based on a loot table. So yeah, we'll be setting that up. We'll be finding the details exactly and um, announcing the exact like the loot table. Basically, we'll be posting that soon as well. But yeah, loot table for GM. So that you can determine whether you get a 10% discount, 25% discount, maybe a $50 gift card. Um, I'm thinking the natural six. I'm assuming it's probably going to be like a table with six options, maybe more. We'll see. It's not entirely set up yet. Um, but yeah, potentially the natural the crit success would be a $50 gift card, which I think people will be excited about and hope that they roll a crit success. So yeah, just making it a little bit more fun. Um, and yeah, if you are a GM who wants to host a game for the con, we'll also be providing server hosting for anyone who needs it. So we'll basically be sponsoring or like upgrading accounts automatically for the duration of the con. So you don't have to worry about uh, you know, uh, setting up your own server or sharing your IP address or anything like that. Just with the Forge, that's gonna be great. And yeah, that's it. That was the announcement that I was hoping to make, and I'm glad we got to make it. Thank you, Destiny, for checking and seeing that the announcement was made public and letting me know. There you go. All right. Okay, so that's done. I remind you that we do still have a giveaway. If someone did not yet type the hashtag Quebec, please do so now to be entered into the giveaway before we draw the winner. All right. Okay. Alaric, free Quebec. That's not exactly it, Alaric. But yeah, I appreciate the sentiment. How do you type Quebec? Zlatan. All right. So I'm just gonna give a little bit more time for people to enter the giveaway. Um, I see. Let me see. Yeah, we have 13 total entries right now, and so I don't see anyone trying to join again. So let me just show you here and draw entrant. Katieland 89. Katieland 89. Congratulations. I'm gonna announce that. There you go. Sweet. And they're responding. Um, awesome. So Destiny Gray here will be able to get you that gift card, and he'll probably send it to you as a Whisper private message. I don't remember how it's called um, in Twitch. But yeah, so make sure that you are able to receive private messages in Twitch to receive the gift card from Destiny Gray. All right, awesome. Now let's switch to the Q&A screen and let's see if we have any questions. So I'll let you think about all your questions while I check back the log here in the chat because I think I missed a few messages earlier that I'm not sure if there were hidden questions in there that I need to answer. Uh, right. Oh yeah, the vehicles on a Lancer map would be amazing. True words that were spoken. All right, I think I just saw a question. Uh, Question one. What was your favorite D moment with me, Kakaroto? Right, Alaric. It's a great question. I think the goggles, discovering those goggles and what they could do, that was amazing. So a bit of context, Alaric was my DM for a little while we did a campaign where we played as kobolds, and a great GM. Awesome GM that gave us an incredible story. I think it was originally supposed to be a one shot, and then it lasted for I don't even know how long. Um, and it was a mix of so many different things that just meshed so well together. And we got into, yeah, I think like 13 sessions. Then we continued that through chat, and then it kind of stopped at that point uh, as we finished the story that we had set out to do in the original one shot. Um, but yeah, one of the things that there was a teleport portal that got us from random caves of a kobold uh, home, and we got into somehow futuristic spaceship um, that beholders, I believe, were you know controlling, and then we broke into that. We stole some goggles that we found random, um, and I love the way that Alaric did the sessions. That if we didn't know what that thing was, he wouldn't tell us what it was. So we didn't realize that it was a spaceship, but he would just describe it as how would a kobold who doesn't understand the concept of spaceships describe this to someone else? And it was a lot of fun sometimes trying to determine what it is, like in modern times, what it is that they're describing. But yeah, it turned out to be a spaceship, and the goggles were, this futuristic sort of AI powered um, thing that just gave us these amazing powers, basically. Um, but yeah, that was, I think, figuring out that they could be activated and work as translators and things like that. And Ollie seeing okay goggles to activate them, that was priceless. That was my favorite moments, I think. Um, all right, let me see. Destiny Cray asking about keyboards. What I think about this one? No, I'm not gonna answer that, Destiny. I'm not gonna answer your weird keyboard question. Dinesh, since you guys get so many help requests, say my game is slow. How about a tool that automatically calculates the world sizes, excluding the compendiums and FogDB, that everyone could get that info easily without having to explain to hit the delete button? Um, it's something that we thought of. I think it would be more than just calculating the size of the world. We like the first step that we did was having that progress bar telling you that the world is currently loading. That helped a lot, I believe, because just a gray screen while it's downloading the world was not a great user experience for many people when it was being that slow to react. And then, when it takes longer than 30 seconds, we consider that it's probably something's happening, and then we provide that link like, oh, it's taking longer than what we expect is reasonable. So click here for troubleshooting, and then we have the troubleshooting guide there. That was kind of the first step. We do have plans to add more tools to look for issues uh, that could be, like common issues. Like what could be the reason for this failing. Um, but we're not quite there yet because we have so many things to do. And I think that the slow games, um, most of the time, is not so much um, about the world being too slow to load, but it's mostly a modules issue or hardware acceleration. Um, that's, I think, the biggest issues that people are end up having. Um, Alaric saying, thank you, I miss those times. Me too, and I miss talking to you, and I'm glad to see that you're here to ask me all of your questions. Please tell me you have a list of 20 questions prepared, because you used to ask always so many awesome questions. And I missed having you here in chat. All right, Chaos Bart saying, relatedly, there's a QLM module I quite like that shows notification when someone is loading in. Love if that became a baked-in feature toggle. Oh, I don't know what that is. Do you remember what the module name is? I'd like to check it out because I'm not sure what it is that it does exactly, or what you mean by loading in. Yeah, let me know. I'd be curious uh, for that. Right. More questions from Alaric. We'll see. All right. So, anything about the things that we showed today? Any questions? Any thing that you might have wanted to ask before and just didn't get a chance to? Um, um, I was potentially expecting. I mean, that was just my expectation, but maybe it's not uh, going to bring as many questions as I thought, but I thought maybe the AI debate might be something that was going to spark a lot of questions and interactive conversation here. So I don't know. I'll just ask the question to the viewers. What do you think about uh, generated AI art? Um, what are your thoughts on it from a ethical perspective, a convenience perspective, and a legal perspective? Alaric, I've been using Ford for years and it's just always works. I haven't had any reason to ask anything. Ooh. um, Katie Land, if artists didn't have to monetize their content, it wouldn't be an issue. Um, I don't think artists have to monetize their content, but I think artists need to monetize their content uh, because it's labor, it takes time, it takes skill also, and people need to feed their families. Um, I personally think that it's a tool that can definitely be used by the the artists to help them in their um, in their content creation process, right? If something would normally take you 100 hours to achieve, perhaps you'll be able to do it in 20 hours with the help of these AI tools, right? So it could potentially help you um, monetize even more because you're able to generate more content faster, maybe even improve your skills or the quality of the content that you're providing. That's going to be beneficial um, to your users and to you, and hopefully, that's the way that I see it, basically. Um, I'm excited by um, the I'm not sure if it's the right word, democratization, but I don't think it's the right word. Um, but like basically making not AI, but making art more accessible to people. Because when you make something more accessible, it becomes something that's more, um, it becomes more part of the society. So one example for that is um, we write blog posts, right? So we do blog posts. I've often did blog posts in the past as well on my personal blog and things like that. I don't use art. I just don't. Um, But since we have these AI generators, we now post various art as part of the images in the blog posts. Um, and I think that's great because, when you're writing a blog post, and you have one day to publish it, or it's you're going to do 2, 3 posts per week or whatever, you're not going to contact an artist to commission art that will be a lot of back and forth that can take a week to make or whatever, right? And you're not going to necessarily commission art every time you need something. Um, I would definitely commission art when it's something that matters. Like the banner that you see behind me, um, that was commissioned by an artist. Our logo was created by an artist, and so we will. I would never try and use AI art for things like that, but for things that don't matter as much, that's just um, decoration around a blog post. I don't see a problem with that. And the way that I see it is that it would cause, um, you know, art to be more visible in more areas of everyday life, and it will make people think about it more and potentially lead them to uh, commissioning art because it's like, oh, I do want something. I do want to see something commissioned uh, for this or that. Let me catch up here on the messages. Uh, AI will be awesome to come up with token picks and stuff that aren't just downloaded or the same as everyone else uses. Yeah, personalizing your content would be an advantage. So I think we have to remember that the big issues with regards to AI art is that it's a positive for users because it makes it more accessible to them. It's a negative for artists because it touches on their livelihood. And encapsulating both of these, the ethical aspect is whether or not uh, the way that those models were trained without, with using potentially copyrighted materials without compensation, without asking for permission, whether or not that's something that is acceptable because it was not like it's not copyright infringement because they're not copying the content, but it's part of the training, just like any real artist would be trained on that AI art. So that's something that so I have an opinion on that, which I already shared that I don't think it's something that's unethical, but not everybody agrees because everyone has a different perspective on the matter, right? Let me continue checking here the messages. Um, ChatGPT stuff. Sometimes you use ChatGPT to vibe check stuff you've already written, like descriptions and whatnot. ChatGPT is amazing. I've started using it as a way to basically replace Google. Um, Instead of Googling something and looking through links and trying to find an answer to a question, just ask it of ChatGPT and it gives me the answer. It can give the wrong answer, so that can be definitely something to double check on, but it generally is good at least giving me the direction to go if I'm not even sure exactly what it is that I'm looking for. So it's been very helpful with things like that. Using character.ai to recreate long-term NPCs, see how they respond to hypothetical situations. Um, Generate encounter ideas. I think you're onto something here. I wish the chat would remain in like the view in OBS because it pops a message and then it just disappears. I think it's also handy from coming up with complex riddles that relate to given themes and variables. Personally in favor, so Phylanx says, I'm personally in favor of AI art and like being able to use it. I also think that I would always value bespoke human art highly because of the effort and time put into the creative process and developing those skills. I agree. Um, it's really, you know, you have to respect the human art 1000%. And it will always, always have a higher value than AI generated art. That's for sure. um, because it's a work of love, it's a work of passion, and it's work that comes from, honing a skill, um, that, not everybody can do that. The AI art makes it easier for users to create their own content potentially, but with how easy it is, it means the value of that art just goes down to bottom to zero pretty much. All right, for art specifically, I like to use Dolly to create pictures of magic items. So the Mad Cartographer says, and this is, I think, an important comment. I haven't read it yet, but I think it's an important comment because it's coming from an artist here. I don't know if any of the other people that I've read comments are also artists. I apologize if that is the case, but I know the Mad Cartographer. So that's what stock art is for. But now a lot of stock art is just AI generated. So it's just a matter of time before stock art drops off and AI is the norm. Um, stock art. So here's the thing. Stock art is generally hard to find what you're looking for. Um, I haven't really bothered with it personally, so I'm like, okay, is it worth it? Maybe, and then I spend too much time trying to find something. It's never really what I want or expect. Um, yeah, I know. I remember the comment about the blog. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of stock art. Like I see it and it's kind of meh most of the time. I mean, it depends. I don't have enough experience with it to be, whatever I say on it is probably going to be false at some level. But my personal experience with it, with stock art, it's just that it's never been particularly appealing to me. Um, although, no, correction, stock photos. I don't think I've looked at, artist hand-drawn stock art itself. I don't think I've seen that before. And that's potentially also a sort of issue with regards to discoverability. I know that with AI, I can just make it draw what I want, whereas with stock art, I need to be looking through where to find the stock art, what sites, what is their licensing, what is their pricing, what is the content, is it easy to search for what I want, and then does it fit what I actually wanted, and things like that. So it's a different process. Um, but like you said, a lot of stock art might become AI generated. It probably already is now, and we might not even know it. But yeah, it's um, it's basically, well, should I just do the prompt myself and generate it, or should I look for someone else who did the prompt and generated something that's close enough? Um, Chaos Bard, but for stuff like character portraits, I'll always go for real artists. Yes, yeah, and that was kind of my point. I'm like lagging so much with the comments because I talk so much. I'm sorry. Um, that's kind of my point. By having more art in our everyday lives, because it becomes so accessible, I feel like people will want to see more art in their everyday lives and will be, oh, I want my character to have a portrait. Um, and so I'm going to be commissioning an artist to draw it for me. And you have both, like for example, when I did my games, I never commissioned a portrait or anything like that. I would just search online for a random thing or a stock photo of whatever the class is, um, and I would just use that because I don't have that patience to go looking for. I mean, I mentioned before I have choice paralysis, so looking for the artist, communicate with them. What's your availability? Here's my description. Does it fit what I had in mind? And things like that. It's something that I haven't really wanted to even try, and so I haven't done that. But if you start to see more customizable art, and you're the only one who hasn't had your own art character portrait in your game, you might be thinking, well, maybe I should go and do that. Um, and that's I think going to be interesting to see how it changes people's perspective with regards to art. All right, I've only used AI art on things that I would otherwise have had no art for or art that didn't fit properly. I prefer to commission if I have very specific idea. Yes, Phalanx, that's exactly the point I was trying to make, and having, I guess, difficulty finding the right words for it. Um, my question with AI generator materials is whether things created from Hero Forge or Eldritch Foundry also count. I'm not making the model a computer, so where's the line? So I think so. The Roman DM here asked a really interesting question in that um, if you use something like Hero Forge or Eldritch Foundry, or let's say Dungeon Alchemist, for example, so not it's not AI generated art in the same sense. The issue is really with regards to using latent diffusion models that train their model on publicly available images that may be copyrighted and permission was not given. So Hero Forge might be using AI. Dungeon Alchemist definitely uses AI, but it's all trained AI on their own work. So that's not a problem. So the ethical issue is really about where that model comes from. Um, Defense here from your server. I had a question involving BGM for campaigns. I just finished running LMOP for some friends of mine. We're going to do DOIP next. My question is, I feel like music should be used sparingly, otherwise it can lose its impact. Highlight moments. How do you handle music and ambience in your campaigns? Thanks. All right, so a different question from the AI, but I'm sure we'll be going back to AI in a second. Um, Great question. So how I handle music and ambience in my campaigns, um, because you feel like music should be used sparingly to not lose its impact. I think um, the way that I've approached music is that to me it's really important to have good music throughout the campaign. So there's always something running. Um, I would often have, you enter this room, this is the music for this room, this is the music for this floor, this is the music for not just the map, but even sections, various sections. But I make it impactful by having the type of music be impactful. Like you would have, generic ambience music, the wind and things like that, boards creaking while you're exploring the house. Then you enter a room and then suddenly it's an orchestra. Suddenly the tension because the rhythm of the music just goes to like could give you like increase your heart rate just by listening to that music because of it's a crescendo. So just like choosing the right pieces for the critical moments will have that effect. Um, it's really really interesting. Like for me, one of the campaigns where you're exploring a haunted house sort of, and it's very you hear noises and it's very gothic music that's kind of giving you chills. Then you enter a room and then it's kind of like a lullaby. It's a very calm music, and that changes entirely the aspects. And then the characters just know that suddenly there's something very special about this room, and you're out of this scary thing that you were in, and now it's a moment of respite and it's moments of rest, but it's also there's something potentially sad about this room, etc. So it gives you that kind of impact while still having music throughout the campaign. All right. I like to download romance for video games. Stuck hard. All right. Chaos Bard. So we're back to AI. To give an example of an ethical use of AI, I used a website that randomly generates waifu pictures, okay, and found something that looked close to what I like for one of my characters. Then I used that as a reference for an actual artist to make me something exactly like what I wanted. That's that's a great ethical use, I think, because you're removing that question in that you could have searched for something and given them, hey, I want something that looks like this. Um, that was, drawn by a real artist, that was copyright protected and everything. Um, and that would have been acceptable. So doing that same thing with the AI. So maybe that AI art is unethical or copyright protected, but then you're having a real artist um, use that as inspiration. That's good. Yeah. Uh, Let me see. All right, this is a great question. Music sets atmosphere, and changing music conveys changing the atmosphere brilliantly. Perfect music for every situation very quickly becomes overwhelming. Yes, I have spent a lot of time trying to find the perfect music for every. It's, I think, the biggest portion of my prep is finding the ambience and the right musics, and then, oh, between these 10 different musics that sound pretty much the same, which one should I use? And then oh, this is perfect. And then I'll listen to the next one. Oh, this is perfect. Wait, which one is more perfect, the previous perfect music or this perfect music? And then I mentioned choice paralysis before. Yes, I have that issue, and that's how I will spend hours, not spend, waste hours trying to find the right music for every room and every event, every encounter, etc. But yeah, um, what I found worked well was to have relatively tame ambient and varied combat tracks. So for combat tracks, I use like 5 or 10, and then I just reuse them. So hey, it's combat, then I use a random one from the combat playlist, basically. So that just gives, that little bit of edge, and they know that they're in combat, and that's fine. If you look at any kind of RPG video game, often you have the same music for every encounter, and that's totally fine. Um, so yeah. Few specific characters, yeah. And then, if there's a very special combat, like a boss fight, then I would have something that's more appropriate for that boss fight, and I put that combat music aside to just run it when it's that specific combat. Um, yeah. Okay, question 17 from Alaric. OVH or DigitalOcean? Yeah, that's an easy question. OVH, OVH for sure. Um, DigitalOcean is great for starting out for hobby projects. Um, and I mean, I have to give it to DigitalOcean. We still ran on their platform for about 3 years. It it worked quite well, though we did have too many recurring issues with them, which is why, 2 years ago I decided to move away from DigitalOcean. Um, but they're still a big service provider. But yeah, I think they have too many issues, and their support isn't that great. I think OVH, however, in terms of customer support, they are not that good either. Um, I feel like customer support for service providers like that, it's bad everywhere. OVH is worse, I think, from what I've seen. But their services are solid, and you have a really good control over the hardware, over the network. Things are done right, which is really good. Like the example of just being able to set a floating IP on your local private network, I can easily do that with OVH, but I can't do that with DigitalOcean. DigitalOcean is really about the one-click install app, um, whereas OVH is really, oh, here's an API on how to configure this, and here's all the information on how to edit files in your Debian or Ubuntu, and then here's a script to add to your initd. They're very, very much lower level and um, more like closer to um, uh, what you would expect from a full um, service provider like that. DigitalOcean is catering to simpler projects, right? Um, the Roman DM. I can relate to choice paralysis. After 15 minutes of trying to find the best option, I just roll the dice, and that choice for me. Only 15 minutes? Yeah, for me it could be 3 hours, and then I roll the dice, and then I'm like, no, let me re-roll it, and then I have two choices, and then I'm like, why did I roll that a second time? And then I go back to looking at my options. Um, yeah. But with the FoundryCon prizes that we decided, you get to roll a dice. We'll make sure that people just can't re-roll until they get what they want. Um, but that was at least a solution that we could do on, hey, just roll on a loot table and that's your prize. Congrats, Um, and it's fun. I mean, the purpose of doing that was both, the what is the best option? Because there was pros and cons on every one of those prizes, uh, and we weren't really sure which ones to provide, and then you just roll, and that makes it easier and more fun, which is cool. All right, do we have any follow-up questions or new questions? Yes, no. All right. All right. Well, if that is all the questions that we have, I'm still gonna give you guys a bit of time to ask more, but oh, there. So back to AI very briefly. I hope that there will be better communication and opt-outs for artists that don't want to allow their art to be used for training. Yes. So that's a bit of a problem in its own because I believe Stable Diffusion made something to allow opt-outs, and that was not well received either because it becomes, well, now you're putting the burden on the artist. Um, you don't have the right to use it in the first place. Um, so don't put the burden on the artist. And also, you're using content from artists who might be dead for a few years. Um, who tells you that they would have liked their content to be used? So opt-in becomes the the, uh, the default that should be happening. Um, but at the same time, if it becomes opt-in, then it's probably just not going to be used at all. So it definitely gets complicated. Um, the thing is that for me, and again, this is my personal opinion, is that for me, the training model, like you don't opt in or opt out as an actual human artist um, for whether or not someone else can see your content and be inspired by it. I remember seeing as part of the Reddit conversation, there was someone who was, strongly against AI and arguing fiercely over Reddit about how unethical it is and how it's stealing and things like that. And people were arguing back saying, like, how is it stealing? A human artist learns in the very same way. Why is it okay for humans but not okay for machines to learn in the same way? And they replied, uh, me as a human artist, I'm a composer, and I have uh, always uh, gotten authorization and given payment to any artist that I use their content to learn from at any point in my career. And then it was quickly put to the test by saying, like, so do you watch movies with the original soundtrack disabled? Because you could just be listening to the radio and hear music, or watching a movie and you hear music, or whatever. Like, anything that you hear and absorb um, could be inspiring you. So that's not actually true, right? So that's that's kind of why I don't think it's unethical, because humans get inspired all the time. There was a big backlash on the style issue, right? When you generate AI in the style of someone else, um, and people were offended by it and saying that that should not be allowed. And I'm like, but even before AI generators existed, when we commissioned, the banner behind me, we asked, hey, we want it in the style of, you know, the Monster Manual, D&D, fantasy, kind of like this and like that, right? So it's a common practice to ask for a specific style, and that's just normal. Um, you can always ask, oh, I want a character portrait in the style of Ghibli Studio, right? Uh, there's nothing wrong, and style is not copyrightable. So it's very difficult to say where the line should be drawn. I think there is definitely an issue in someone using AI art, uh, and trying to pass it off as someone else's, right? Saying, "Oh, I generated something in the style of this, and now I'm selling it or promoting it or just displaying it, saying that that person is the one who drew it," when that's not the case, because that's definitely not right. And I don't think it's just unethical. I think it would be illegal. It would be, appropriation, trademark infringement, something, But yeah. Uh, when can get AI art in the style of Kevin? In the style of Kevin, yeah. Kevin is not AI. I think that part of what makes it so intense is that very few humans, if any, can iterate and internalize inspiration on the same scale that AI can. Yeah, I think it's about the how fast can you do it? Like, you can learn to draw by spending hundreds or thousands of hours training that skill, and then AI comes along and it can do it quickly. To be honest, I'm sure that it took hundreds or thousands of hours to train that AI model, but you do it once and then you just replicate it, like, for everybody. Whereas a human has to relearn that skill if you need a new person to. Um, and then also you have each human has their own style, has their own unique perspective at things based on what they have seen throughout their life and what they focused on, because you can't focus on every single art style. But so you focus, oh, maybe you're really good at drawing a anime style art, right? Or gothic style or whatever. So you focus on a specific art style, and that improves and gives a personality to your content. Whereas the AI art has access to all of things, and whether I run it on my computer or yours, it's always going to be the same kind of data and the same inspiration, right? So it loses that kind of uniqueness that you would get from a human. Um, and I'm talking even if it was the exact same quality, and it was indistinguishable, and you could customize it, like all of the issues that we talked about before, uh, just with regards to that specific thing. Um, mm, yeah, Napster was big back in the old days. Napster issue, I saw similar issues with photography. When photography was um, became a thing, there was a huge backlash by artists in the same way of, this is not art. Now it's well recognized that photos are art. They are considered as art. Um, but like what is the difference between, oh, but you're not actually making art, the machine is, whether it's an AI generator or the actual camera, it's still the machine. All you did is click a button, whether it's in a UI or the button of the camera. It's the exact same arguments. You just clicked a button and the image was created by the machine. You didn't do anything. Um, and like you're just capturing what's there. Uh, it's it was very similar. I've seen some comments, or rather, I've seen a video that compared the reactions to the introduction of camera photography and the debate on whether or not it can be considered art back in the days versus what we're seeing now with AI art. Alaric asking, would the problem be largely solved if the AIs were capable of creating images that resemble the originals, but at which point do we only output white noise? No, I don't think that's an issue because I could go to a real human artist, right? And I could tell them, hey, can you draw me something in this style that has this content that looks like this? And, they may not even have seen um, the original art, but they might be able to draw something similar, right? It's about the prompt. Like I may not say the Mona Lisa, but I could describe the Mona Lisa and get the AI to generate something that looks like the Mona Lisa. Now, I didn't copy it, I didn't mention it, but that would still be infringement. That would still be derivative because it was created based on a sort of template, right? Uh, and it's the exact same thing. If you like resembling the original, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because everything could, like, anyone could make something that resembles the original. But that's the I think that's the biggest challenge with AI. When you go to a human and tell them to draw you something that looks like something else, they can tell you, well, um, this counts as derivative, or I can't put the I don't know, McDonald's logo in here because if I do, then that's a trademark infringement. So they'll be able to know where the line is with regards to trademark, copyright infringement, most of the time anyway. Some of these aspects are still unknown to most people who aren't lawyers, but they can know what is ethical in what they are doing. Whereas if you use AI art, you can definitely make it do things that are unethical. You can definitely do copyright infringements or trademark infringement. You can definitely do bad things based on what you tell it to do. But then the prompter, the user of that AI software, is the one responsible for using the software in an ethical manner. I think the general ethical question is whether the the AI generated content in itself is by default always unethical just by the way that it was trained. And that's kind of the question I was um, kind of uh, talking about when I said I personally don't think that it is. But that does not mean that you cannot do unethical things with the content if your prompt is leading it towards doing something that should not be that it should not be doing. Um, yeah, AI can't draw hands. I think they're improving on that though. So yeah, it is definitely a complex topic. I've got my fingers crossed that the future will be bright for artists too, and that the tools, when mature, will be able to help empower their workflow. Yes, I do as well. And I've seen, once we made that decision to ban AI generated content in the Bazaar, we've seen creators coming to us saying, "Oh, that was unexpected because I use it in my workflow." And they draw something like, most artists will draw a sketch, a quick sketch, and then place their elements. That's what I assume based on some things that I've seen, but I may be wrong, and it most certainly is going to be different from one artist to the next. But they do a quick sketch and just the outline and things like that, and then they start coloring things and they add more detail, and it's an iterative process. And I've seen some creators do the outline and then they pass that through the AI generator, which cleans it up, adds the detail, adds the coloring, and then they take that back and then they do their final pass. And just it doesn't remove anything from the creative process, but the boring parts, basically, the more time consuming and non-creative portions of the work, they can just give to the AI to speed up that process, and that helps immensely for sure. Uh, Let me see. I would love to see a revival of the MOOC AI module. I don't remember MOOC AI. Like, I remember the name, but I don't remember what it did. Sounds like there is no actual solution that everyone will be satisfied with. Very true. Meaning there will be pushback until the number of people pushing back will diminish to the point of not being enough to capture the ear of the public. I think there will always be people that stand on either side of the debate. I think what will end up deciding it is most likely the courts, where a lawyer will give one side of the debate and another will give the other side of the debate, and then a judge will decide, okay, this is what's acceptable and this is what isn't. Um, I don't have a lot of trust in that because I have seen judges make uninformed decisions, even though it's their job to make informed decisions. So honestly, I don't know. It could go either way. Um, it could go one way that the majority of people will disagree with, or it could go another way that the majority of people will agree with. It could be a logical decision, it could be a non-logical decision. Most of the time, as far as I'm aware, judges are not going to go with what's logical, but whether or not it's something that breaks a specific wording in a text of law. So that's where it's mostly going to go. Um, I think it's so I think there's two aspects of it. There's the copyright infringements due to data being copied, which I don't think is true because there is no copied data in the models. It's a training model. Um, I'm not going to go into detail here, but the way that the model learns is independent of copyright infringement. It's not copying any data. It's just like saying a hash of a file is a copy of the file. That's not true. Um, and then there's the derivative work, which is, I think, the most complicated portion to answer. But I think, when you look at derivative work, you're taking one work and you're making a derivative of it. Like you're taking a picture, you're adding things on it. You're, drawing a mustache on the Mona Lisa, or something like that. You can take one, two arts and merge them together. That's derivative. Um, when you take the latent diffusion, which is learning from other works, and then you can say, oh, I generated this AI art. It's not like you can't find what is it a derivative of because it's using 5 billion different images. So it's not targeted. It's actually something that I mentioned to other creators, in that as long as the model was trained um, non in a non-targeted way, then I don't think it's derivative or copyright infringement. If you actually train a model specifically on something, like you take um, a specific artist or a specific set of pieces of art and you train the model on those exactly in order to generate a model that is mostly biased towards that, then yes, I would say that becomes unethical, that becomes a problem. But when you take 5 billion images of all different types and it's non-targeted, then I don't think that can count as derivative. But that's my opinion, and it's definitely not based on any specific law, text, or whatever. I think the AI debate has a long way to go, but my opinion is where the point of inspiration comes from and whether it is to help creativity process or pass that burden onto the AI. Why would the cost matter at all? Just up your AI in a different country without those laws and let the world use it anyway. It's like piracy, will never get away from it. I don't think that's a good way to approach it, Alaric. I think that it's important. Um, Obviously, you could have different courts give different decisions in different countries. That's a good point. Um, but yeah, I mean, whether it'll happen or not, I don't think you can shut down the technology. It's out there. That's not going to change. But it's more about whether or not it's acceptable to use it in a commercial product, for example. There was recently, someone published a book and they used AI art to generate the images of the book. It was like a picture book for children. Um, and they had the copyright to the book, and then the Copyright Office revoked their copyright by saying that they cannot own the copyright to the images because they weren't the ones who actually drew them. So that was a very, very recent decision, I think from last week. So you can see how that can affect things. It doesn't mean that it's illegal, right? Um, because you can sell content that you don't own the copyright of, as long as uh, there isn't a license that prevents commercial use. Um, but you know, uh, it becomes like, can you sell, like, how can I say it? If you don't own the copyright to it, sure you can sell it, but you can't prevent someone else from also selling it. So you have that issue of how would you protect your own content and things like that. No, you can't always tell that it was AI. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not, and sometimes you have AI generated content that then a real artist goes and cleans up to make it look uh, like you just can't know anymore. Um, but generally speaking, if you don't say that it was generated by AI, knowing that it's an obligation to do so, then you're in the wrong anyway. So it doesn't matter. She was very vocal about it, honest with the Copyright Office, and they are active in the Facebook group. Yeah, I mean, it's like that art contest where someone won first place, first prize with an AI generated content, and then it was a huge issue with people saying, "Oh, they cheated, etc." And then the person basically said, "Well, I spent 800 hours on this. I didn't click a button. It was 800 hours of work. Yes, I used AI to generate it, but it is not as trivial or easy as you might think. There's hard work that went into it, and there's definitely passion, and like you can't dismiss the 800 hours spent. Um, so if the Copyright Office comes and says, "Well, you didn't have a hand in making this, so you can't have copyright of this art because you didn't have a hand in it," then I would argue, where did that 800 hours of work go if they didn't do anything, right? Um, but it's a whole debate. There's also um, the guy who did all the work uh, to make the selfies of monkeys, where they ensured that the monkey was able to take its own selfie, and then the Wikimedia Foundation or whatever, basically changed their copyright on it, saying, "Oh, it was an animal that took the picture. It was not you. Therefore, the pictures have no author, or like they are non-copyrightable. Therefore, they are public domain," and they basically stole that guy's work. And it became a whole debate, and I don't think a court has decided on that. They decided that yes, an animal cannot hold copyright. Only humans can hold copyright, which is also true for AI. But it doesn't mean that the work itself is not copyrightable, right? So you can't say, oh, Stable Diffusion holds the copyright to this image because Stable Diffusion is software. It's not a human. But you could say uh, that the person who did all the work to create the image, who did the prompt, who had thousands of images to choose from and tweaked all the parameters, etc., that person had a hand in creating that image and therefore should be the copyright owner. So, right. Um, a lot of people seem to be conflating uh, non-human cannot hold copyright with non-human generated content is not copyrightable, which is two very different things in my opinion. Um, yeah, the text was copyrighted, but also the placements and the cropping of the images was copyrighted. So they said where the image was placed on the page itself and which section of each image was cropped, that's copyrightable. So you have one image and you say, well, this sub image is not copyrightable, but the fact that you took this sub image, that in itself is copyright. So it's kind of weird. Anyway, maybe you set up an international tribunal for artists. You can only ask money for the human time spent on creating it. Each artwork is individually assessed according to panel of experts and AI. Now, doesn't that sound fair? Oh yeah, sure, sure, and you'll get. I'm not gonna bother trying to explain how flawed that is, but yeah. Anyways, we have been talking about this for a while, and I think I'm gonna stop the conversation now. Like I said, I want to write a blog post about it where I share my opinions, why I think that way, also, but also I want to bring the opinions of others who disagree with me, um, and share their opinion and why they think that way, and try to bring that kind of debate. Um, uh, Not in the open because it's already in the open, but rather share with you people the um, the opinions that we have and that our content creators have, and um, perhaps, hopefully, inform people on the various issues that that surround the AI debate. All right. Um, I don't think I'm going to get any more questions. So thank you everyone for being here, for engaging with us, for listening to me talk for 2 hours. And I'll see you again next month with hopefully some really new, exciting announcements and stuff. So, yeah. All right. Thanks. Bye bye.